So, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's RigER webinar. Today we are going to talk about oilfield operations management. It involves continuous analysis and improvement of schedule and dispatching of the field jobs, field technicians' time tracking, inventory management, quality control, equipment maintenance, and staffing. We have analyzed RigER Oilfield Operations Management Implementation Practice and identified 7 key lessons learned from 100 plus implementations projects. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Dasha, and I am the marketing director here in RigER. Presenters today are Michael Maltsev, who is president here in RigER, and Nikolai Korniuk, our VP Business Development. And today they will talk about oilfield digital transformation and oilfield operations management. They share implementation practice and discuss 7 lessons they learned. And at the end of the presentation, we'll have a Q&A session where you can ask us any question that you may have during the presentation. You can see the Q&A icon on your Zoom control panel. Please type all your questions there and we'll answer them at the end of the webinar. And let's get started. And I want to pass microphone to Nikolai. Hello, Nikolai.
Hello, Dasha. Thank you very much for the introduction and welcome everyone to our webinar. Again, today's topic is very interesting and more an insight side of the things rather than on a practical side of the things, as far as how to use the system goes and all the other relevant questions related to RigER. So we'll talk about a oilfield digital transformation, and we'll talk about the Industry 4.0 and a few other topics that relate to that. So many of you have heard already, and I think we're well into the era of the Industry 4.0. And what does it mean? Again, those of you who haven't heard or read or attended some events related to that. So generally speaking, it's our revolution of technology and how it brings industry now into the state where different types of technology is being used for different types of industries in different sectors. And we're specifically focusing our attention on the oil and gas, and with even zooming in on the oilfield services. But generally speaking, again, Industry 4.0 relates to everything and anything that relates to either the hardware or the software or the platforms that connect and interconnect people, from cloud computing that started quite a while back, but now is more commonplace, to the ubiquitous use of the mobile devices, including the oil field or including the Internet of Things platforms, then sensors, augmented reality, and all is sort of interlinked, different aspects of our life that we live in a daily basis, now being more and more introduced into the industry. That's in a nutshell what Industry 4.0 stands for. And when we talk about the use of technology, I think one interesting dimension is how different industries and sectors of economy in any given country are applying these technologies into their operations on a daily basis. And what McKinsey discovered when they did an initial, or not an initial, subsequential research that they published in 2018, that you can see that at the top of the technology users were such industries as media and tourism, and not surprising because it touches a lot of people on a daily basis. And now we know how we book the tickets, we know how we pay the for the tickets or anything and everything, including the media as another industry that is severely reliant on and is pushing actually the envelope of industrial revolution and technology use. However, the industry that we're focusing on, the oil and gas, are among the laggards, so to speak. I mean, including the public sector, which is even falling behind the oil and gas. So we hope that it's advanced since the 2018, now a little bit up, but still, there's a lot that can be done. And what we differentiate when we talk about the oil and gas and Industry 4.0, we're just going to zoom in and identify several different levels where companies may fit in when we talk about the digital transformation. And it starts with the zero digital transformation, that is when the companies are not using anything, or most of the companies are past that stage already. And then it's from level 1 to 5, we see how different companies and organizations are adjusting and bringing new technology to their portfolio of operations or accounting or the sales functions. So from simple software where the companies start using the desktop software, now everything is moving closer towards the oil field technology, where companies are now applying and using the technologies such as different mobile platforms, different mobile applications that may be disparate, but still are available now more and more through the availability and ubiquity of internet now everywhere. And but not only it all is being done on the computer, that is on the desktop or on a laptop computer, more and more companies are moving into the mobile phase of the things. And I think in this day and age where we're looking at the post-pandemic thing, when everybody is now remote in one form or another, or in one day or another, so everybody has to have access to information at the same time using different technologies, building on the cloud by using the mobile devices more and more. So we see that companies are now testing and trying mobile technology, and it can be cloud on mobile, or it can be even offline, because offline is still an important aspect of using the technological information exchange when there is no internet. And there are some pockets, surprisingly, but maybe not surprisingly, where there is no internet whatsoever. Information has to be captured and then later conveyed to the office or synchronized with the main systems. The fourth and the fifth levels are the most advanced levels that we've noticed in some of the companies that take the leadership position in when they apply the new technology in their daily operations, and then they want to get the insight out of it. So the business intelligence is an important part or level of maturity and part of how the latest technology has been applied. So we see that companies try to integrate the smart devices, new sensors, including RFID or telemetry, data gathering and capturing from the field and conveying it all. Some large organizations are more advanced and have had this technology already in place, but medium to small size organizations are only encroaching into the area because of the accessibility of the technological solutions. And the Oilfield 4.0, the ultimate goal, we see that where the blockchain, the smart contracts, the digital twins. So this is a whole different level where some companies, only a handful of, are well into and are ready to and already deploying, but still not all across divisions, but in some parts of their business, testing the technology more. So all in all, it's a journey, and we see that depending on where the company's leadership is and the courage to take on, and as well as their mission and the vision of where they want to go to, different companies vary where they are at, but the sooner you start, the farther you will go. So some of the benefits that we have gleaned from our implementation project listed here on this slide. And generally speaking, what we have learned, again, is that what the technology and the digital transformation processes enable company to do is, general goal is just the operational excellence. Everybody wants to operate at their highest and the peak performance at every moment in their time. And you have to be able to monitor their assets, be that the hard assets or the people as a main resource, and being able to analyze the processes on the fly. So that's the ultimate goal. And like in any sportsman alive, you have the peak performance and you have the low performance, but being ability to track it all is the key thing. Another benefit is that having information gathered, collected, and analyzed digitally, you're able to mitigate the risk. So, and then when you mitigate the risk of compliance or safety, you will see the benefits to your bottom line almost instantly, because the zero-driven safety standards, the zero incident or the zero or minimize the expense on the safety, allows people to or can be enabled only through use of technology. So none of the paper tickets or paper documentation will allow you to do that, as well as using the technology to calculate the probability of incidents at the same time. So, and that applies to predictive maintenance as well as to the safety for the human life. So that's important. Another benefit of, and maybe just it's not another, but it's a very important one because it's very sensible, especially to the people in the C-suite, is that discover the cost savings. So everybody knows that there are inefficiencies in the organization, but pinpointing where the pain are and where the leaks are is very hard. Having everything or key functions and then everything then digitalized enables you to see where the leaks might be. And it's like your infrared scanner in the darkness, or it's like some other technology that provides the visibility or an X-ray. So all of a sudden you have a total different dimensions through which, and the lenses through which you can see what's going on in your organization, and you're able to deal with the problem far before or ahead of when actually it can cause you significant problems. And of course, not last but not the least one that we've identified is a improvement of the front end performance. Again, it's very important that not only internal operations have to be streamlined, but it all is also client-facing interactions have to be improved on an ongoing basis. And again, digital technology, when your clients through the portal can log in and actually request for services or check the status of their equipment or the service that they've been provided, or see the value, or print out their invoice by themselves without a prompt to go and send an email or give a call somebody. So that enhances the experience, as well as allows you to not only to save the cost, but also create that impression that that makes the life of your customer easier. So all in all, there's more than these 4 benefits, but generally, digital technology brings a lot of benefits to you as a user of it. And let me pass the microphone to Michael, who will dive in a little deeper into the operations management and talk about the lesson specifically. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikolai. Hello, everyone. Yeah, definitely. When we talk about oilfield operation management projects, we can have more than 100 different projects where we participate in working with our clients, including oilfield safeties, modules, implementations, including the mobile operations and GSAs on the mobile phones, CRM and sales, operations, job scheduling and resource dispatching, talking about equipment and field technician dispatching, document control, tech data collections and processing, field services. All of those projects, they have pretty much the similar features and similar steps of the implementations, and you see the number of different projects we build and create for our clients during the last 9 years, and it was a journey, and we'd like to share some lessons which with you, which we learn during the journey. But before we start, I'd like to pass mic to Nikolai back, and I ask him to explain how we do the implementations.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. And again, implementation is a very important part of the project because technically everything hinges upon success of the implementation. And one of the things that actually a research of Deloitte discovered is that to conduct successfully a digital transformation project, you have to have several items in place. And one is the technology itself. So technology is important, and no doubts, and the right use of technology and availability of technology is key. The second point is the data. So the data is something that you have to be able to not only collect, but it has to be usable. The formats of it has to be usable. The application of it and ability to deal with that, and the capacity of the organization to deal with that is important. The third part is the processes. Process means internal processes and external processes and how you conduct your business. And the fourth one is organizational or capability of change at the organization. So implementation as a project actually cuts across all the key aspects of this digital transformation success factors identified by some of the major consultancies. And what I will just shed the light on is how we apply those key factors and where they are make sort of the most impact through our implementation project, generally speaking. So usually we start, before we start implementation, we conduct a kickoff meeting with all the key stakeholders. We have the process in place. Again, we will identify the key people and identify how organization is ready for the change. And we explain the cost and the benefit highlighting the benefit, but at the same time explaining what is involved and who are the people, and create an accountability environment in which everybody who is in the room, who is in charge, not only the leaders organizations, but people who are going to be running the system on a daily basis are part of it and have to have specific tasks. At the same time, we're on the implementation. We're on a number of tasks on the back end, and it's a partnership. And that's why on this diagram you can see two lines. One is the red one, and the one is the yellow one. So the yellow one is what actually our internal processes are and what our people do when we deal with the implementation. And the red one is what actually customer-facing interaction looks like. So from kickoff, we start with the data preparation, where you are provided templates by our team. And so that's when we look at the data side of the things. We make sure that we deal with the data in the right format, and we provide a lot of feedback on the naming conventions, on the structure of the information or types of the information. So basically, we prepare the data before it becomes part of the database, which we are about to implement and set up. We conduct a workshop to discuss the configuration. Again, the data and the people, and then the configuration comes into place as far as what the functionality of the system should be. Because again, RigER is a customizable system and highly configurable, which means that we can turn on and off certain aspects and functionality of it to ensure that your business gets the most benefit of it, but not gets inundated with unnecessary features that somebody might be using. And then the next step in the process, the fourth one here on the picture, is that when we look at, if you're truly unique, we can even customize the system, which means that we can build a specific module or modify an existing one to suit specific needs of yours. And this is a process, and you can see here that customization as a phase in the implementation project. It can exist or it may be skipped, but if it does exist, we discuss with you what the requirements are, and we also built in the training for that so that you would know how to use our customer solution. Then we move into the user training phase, and training is very important. Again, we're talking about the processes and organizational capacity and capability for change. So we need to be sure that when you use a system, you are trained on how to use it the best way possible, because you will change your daily operational activities. You will change how you do things and what access, what screens you're looking at on the screen, or what screens you're looking on the mobile device, and how you interact with other people, being that internal people or external people. So all of that is part of how we train you how to use the system. So when we conduct trainings both online and on site, and then after that, you are having a system being trained on it, and you are ready to go live. While at the same time, we conduct the quality control and then provide onboarding assistance to you. That is, mean that you have access to our experts on a daily basis, whom you can ask any questions, and we can again be there on site for you to provide this assistance and guidance if you require that. So once we've done that through the calls and the meetings, you're then become part of our community, a broader community of our users, and then you will still continue to be engaged through the webinars, the knowledge base, as well as our standard support to learn how to use the system, to continue to improve and enhance your internal operations, and being the successful business driving towards the operational excellence using RigER. So that's in a nutshell what our implementation looks like and how it enables you to further boost your business and learn how to use the system at the same time achieve the excellence.
Thank you, Nikolai. And let's talk about some lessons which we learn and like to share with the audience today. First of all, when we start the project, we need to assess the implementation readiness. I'm talking about a full picture of the environment which we have internally in the company, and understanding, do we have enough resources for that project? Because the project is, as you saw, a two-way direction, and RigER as the company which implement the software work in close contact with the client. And it's very critical, important to have the resources available for that project, because in some cases it's really tough when people focus on the operational side of the business, and they have no time for the implementation. It's critical, and please pay attention for that. Data to import. This is another big thing we need to analyze and understand in what format and what kind of data we have to import to RigER for the implementation process. So this data, is this data ready for import? Maybe we need to validate the data. We need to reorganize, regroup the data, or some data could be lost or not exist, and we need to enter this manually or restore that data from different sources. Another thing, next thing is the processes. So what kind of processes, process descriptions, and how that description done in the current state and in a future state. So the processes should be described based on what we're doing right now and how we see those processes in the future. Another thing, the software ecosystem, because in many cases when we come to the companies, we see 5, 6, 7, many different software systems which in some cases work together, in some cases not. So that kind of software environment we need to understand. Same thing with hardware, because we need to understand what kind of devices you'd like to use and using right now. And of course, it is very important to understand the experience of the implementing different software. It could be CRM, it could be ERP, it could be operational management system. So that experience is very important, and people understand the next step, understand what needs to be done. And in that description and readiness assessment, we need to be very specific to better understand what kind of environment we have. Another lesson, we need to choose wisely. We need to choose the right software, and we need to choose the implementation partners. So in that situation, I would say for the software, and if we talk about operational software, we need to understand the scalability of the software, maturity of the software, ability to, the scalability means that the software can grow with you when your business will grow without any additional expenses. In that case, definitely right now, cloud technology can give you that opportunity. The desktop applications couldn't grow when your company double or triple the size. The maturity of the software is very important as well, because if you start from scratch, lots of the modules and functions you need to build internally, which is very cost and timely. Documentation, it's very important how the software documented, and is any and knowledge base or how-tos documentations available for the users. And another thing is the integration of the software. So software should be able to connect with the other softwares available in this particular client, in this particular company. And it's important to find the right partner with experience and expertise in the area. And it's important to have the cultural fit, because in that classic triangle, quality, speed, and price, you need to choose the same two components. So that's very important to have a cultural fit and understand the priorities of both parties and move forward synchronized. The next thing, they define the goals and align the goals with the corporate vision and strategy. Understanding how and why we implementing the software and how this implementation will help us to achieve the future goals and understand the difference between departments' priorities, because what we see in many cases, different C level managers have different priorities, and um, those goals need to be synchronized, and we need to understand um, what should be the end results of the project. Definitely, we need to set a deadline and the budget restrictions, identify resources and responsibilities, uh, build a plan based on that goals, and have a weekly check for the progress. So usually we do weekly checking meeting, weekly project update meetings, and if necessary, we need to run the correct actions. Another discovery, and this is what we usually do. We use the phase approach. We don't want to eat the elephant in once. We like to bite piece by piece. So to do that, we need to define the priorities, and we need to move towards the big win by small steps, from easy solution to the complexity. In some cases, it could be several iterations in the same space and the same level. When we put one part in the software, then put another and another and another, and just to grow complexity of the software, grow the functionality of the software, and it takes time. And from our experience, between phases, between big updates of the software, you need to have at least 3 weeks, from 3 weeks to 3 months. So do people need to adopt, adjust, understand the new rules, understand new procedures and policies, and then move forward. And the usually what we do the office first and the field second phase. It's because the field people, they need to focus on their job, and all the mobile applications which we usually use in the field should have a full, understandable, error-free, questionable, free, hassle-free environment, and the field technicians need to understand what to do and how to do that, and this will give us an opportunity to minimize resistance. And another thing, core process first and the integration with other systems. Big thing is to educate team how to use the software and how to adjust the processes based on what we have in the software. One of the approach working with the big teams, which we use, it's a train of trainers, and identifying the champions for each functional area. When we set up the particular rules and identify the champions and discuss all those aspects with them, and they will share their knowledge with the rest of the team. Personalized training, especially for admins, is very important, and individual training program or specifically designed training program for particular client configurations is another big thing. What we see with user experience and user trainings, the people very appreciate the step-by-step instructions. They really love to have a Q&A session, how to, and then I remember one of the implementation project in Wyoming, the guys, they ask us to just to write down step-by-step instruction on the whiteboard, and they use phones and just take pictures about those instructions, and it was a really interesting experience and eyes opening for us that they need that how to and step-by-step instructions. And definitely when we talk about bigger organizations, we need to build the operational rules and procedures, define the processes, how to work with the software, like together with the software, not only how the software runs, but what we do because of that, and what kind of preparation, what kind of extra steps or checks we need to do to meet those uh, processes and requirements. Another thing, which is a big part, and Nikolai mentioned that people are key factor in that equation when we talk about technology, processes, data, and people. So transformation of culture is the key component of any change. And implementing the software is a big change in the day-to-day operations. And managers' tasks is to develop the culture change plan and manage future mindset, understanding where we moving forward, where we going, from innovations to corporate bureaucracy, the tech adoption or conservatives, because when the company growing, the culture is slightly changing, and we need to understand that and adopt that and educate people, and focus people on the specific cultural things. And another thing which we see, it's mostly not for the implementation projects, but down the road when we support the clients, when they identify the business processes, initially they prefer lots of flexibility, trying different things, have some easygoing solution, and year after year they add more control, and they set up more standardized approach for the operations. And definitely internally in the company, the organizations need to develop the competence about how to use software, how to run operations using software. And this is a very important success factor for the implementation as well. And the last, but probably the most important or very important thing is the scope of work, where we need to put our expectations on paper in digital format, of course. They translate expectations. So what the developers expect, what clients expect, what is the business requirements, what is the user needs, describe all key components. Definitely the preparing scope of work is very time consuming exercise, and it could be very long, and but again in here you need to define the balance between detailed description and time spending for that, because in some cases when the processes are very dynamic, you can have a situation when your scope of work become an obsolete in 2 to 3 months because of the changes of the processes. But in general, the key components should be described. Another thing which I always encourage to my clients, I insist that they read and understand every single point in the scope of work. And of course, we need to control the results. That's probably major 7 lessons learned from our projects. We trying to put together the entire list and of our recommendations and discoveries. And hopefully this will help you to implement the software in more efficient way. Thank you so much, everyone. Again, if you have any open questions, which you probably try to ask us today, feel free to send us an email or call us. And if you'd like to see our software in the demo, just go to our website, RigER.us, and click the button, book the demo, and we will chat. Thank you so much for being with us today, and see you soon.